Hello everyone, welcome. This is Steve Suffoletto from Erie Community College. We're a two-year community college just south of Buffalo, New York. And today I want to discuss how we're going to cut paper for our capstone calendar project. So every year the seniors do a calendar, and we're going to print the cover on the Ryobi 3302 presses, and then we're going to use that as a shell to print the inside text pages on the Ricoh multifunction printer. So one of the things we have to calculate is how many out, up, or on the yield we can get out of the parent sheet. So let's take a look at some specs here. Okay, so this is a plus cover calendar, and the cover is on 65 pound, and you know that the parent size for cover is 20 by 26. And the equivalent GSM grammage is 176. Now this mics out to 8 thousandths or 8 mil or 8 point. The parent size is 23 by 35 grain long. So the underline or the underscore here means that's the parallel direction for the grain direction. The press sheet size we're going to be printing on is 9 3/8 by 15 11/16. That's the fractional form. If you convert that into the decimal form is 9.375 by 15.688. So the question now becomes, how many of these press sheets can I cut out of the parent size 23 by 35? So one way we can do this is just draw a picture, visualize it. So here's my press sheet. We know this is 23 inches. We know this is 35 inches, grain long. And how many 9.4 by 15.7s can we get out? Well, the 15.7 can be cut out of the 23 once, twice, 3 times. The rest of this is waste. Again, this is about 9.4 inches, and this is about 15.9 inches. So the 15.9 cuts out of the 23 once, and the 9.4 cuts out of the 35 3 times. 9, 18, 27, can't get a fourth one out. Okay, so what's our yield out? How many out, up, or on? That would be 3. How many cuts do we have to make? Well, 1. Let me just change the color here. You would make your first cut here probably. 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So that would be 4 cuts out. Now what about the grain direction? Well, we know the grain is on the parent sheet 35 inches, so that means that it'll be with the 9.4 inches. Now remember, this is going to be a calendar that's going to fold in half this direction. So those dotted dashed lines are representing fold marks. So the grain direction is going to be short here. And that's the best for the printing press, because we're going to be printing in portrait mode. Which means when we go to fold this internally on the Ricoh inside the booklet maker, so when we look at the folding direction, you want typically to fold parallel with the grain. So once again, this is the best, because we'll be folding with the grain. So that's option A. Let's take a look at another option here. Under option B, you take your press sheet 23 by 35, and now what you do is you put the 9s this way, So here is your 9.4 inches, and this is your 15.9 inches. So 9.5 cuts out of the 23 twice, and almost 16 inches cuts out of the 35 twice. All of this is waste. So your yield now is 4. So you're getting one more out. You've increased it from 3 to 4. The number of cuts, let's take a look at that with a different color ink. You would probably make your first cut here, first cut, then your second cut, and then your third cut, fourth cut. Okay? So here we still have 4 cuts. But the problem is grain direction. Here, the grain direction is now long, because remember, if this is the 35 inches grain long, that means you're now grained long with the 15.9. So you probably want to try to avoid this on press, and you certainly want to try to avoid this for folding, so you don't get cracking at the fold. The third option looks like this. Here's our press sheet. We're going to cut 2 out this way, and then we'll cut 2 out this way, and all the rest of this is waste. So here we're going this way, and then we're changing direction this way. So how many do we get out? We get 4 out. How many cuts are there? Well, this is a special name for this type of a cut. This is called a Dutch cut. And let me show you the cutting sequence here. You can't make this cut first, because you would ruin these 2 images right there, those 2 press sheets. So you have to make this cut first. So that's your first cut, and then your second cut, and then your third cut, and then your fourth cut, then your fifth cut, and then your sixth cut. So here we have 6 cuts. So now you got to think about productivity and efficiency, because more cuts, more time, and more labor. There's another consequence to this Dutch cut, and that is the grain direction. Both grain directions. So half of the sheets, 50%, are grain long, and the other 50% are grain short. So you probably want to keep these separate. You would want to mark the loads or the paper lifts separately. So in summary review, we have 3 options. Option A gives us 3 out with 4 cuts. Option B gives us 4 out with 4 cuts. And option C gives us 4 out with 6 cuts. And this is called the Dutch cut because you're changing the direction of your cuts. In terms of grain direction, the best selection is option A, so that's why I have it color-coded green. And a second option, which is not as good, is option B, which I color-code yellow. And a third option, where half the grain is one direction, but the other half of the sheets are in a different grain direction, I've color-coded red for option C here. You probably do not want to do this.